a tough year for investors so far. Reason why? Markets have been volatile, a lot of uncertainty out there, a lot of elections as well, which has kind of given us a sense that the whole world is in stasis waiting for next year to happen, when the UK elections, the US elections, a whole raft of other elections are out of the way. So what do you do within that framework? Well, the Labour government is trying to install a sense of security, safety, reassurance. Some of that's come across as being a little bit negative, has to be said, but they're trying to do stuff that's more positive right now. With the budget coming up and with the party conference, what the messaging is going to be is that Britain is here, we're open for business, and we're focusing on long-term growth, investment and jobs. Now that's important. That's important for markets because it says we're not going back to austerity, but we are going to invest for the future, and we're going to tackle some of these big, almost existential problems that are out there, which we've all been worrying about. Climate change, underinvestment in the public sector, underinvestment in technology and research, universities, health, education. It's easy to see why there's been such a negative mood over the last few months, years. But the Labour government is trying to twist that around and turn it into something positive. And against that, of course, you've got a bigger backdrop, which is US elections, you've got geopolitical conflict, the rise of great power conflicts, China, the United States, Russia, United States, conflict in the Middle East. All of these things are adding to a general sense of uncertainty, which is what has underpinned a lot of this volatility in markets. And I think that's going to be the message as we move forward into an election in the United States, as we move forward into more volatile political and environmental terms. I think what we're going to find is that we need to think about stability and reassurance. So will there be opportunities out there? Absolutely yes. Risk appetite has to be perhaps a little bit higher than usual, but will there be opportunities in sustainability? Yes. Will there be opportunities in technology? Yes. Will there be opportunities in the UK markets? Well, maybe, although we're not likely to see a return to liquidity like we've seen, 10, 15 years ago, perhaps. It's all about managing change. It's all about riding the risk. I guess I'd say business as unusual.
The three areas that I looked at in terms of planning before the budget were capital gains tax, inheritance tax and pensions. And I suppose the most important action in terms of each of those would be with capital gains tax, where it's commercially expedient to consider realising investments now, to use your annual exemption and use the lower rate of capital gains tax that we expect to apply now, which for a high rate taxpayer, additional rate taxpayers, 20%. Secondly, I think to maximise investments into ISAs, because ISAs are tax-free, there's no capital gains tax there. We don't know if there's going to be any changes on ISA, but it makes sense to bring forward investment to utilise the whole allowance. In terms of inheritance tax, people should, if they've been considering making large gifts, should think about making those gifts now pre-budget, just in case we get any change in the PET regime or the 7-year accumulation regime. I think with inheritance tax, it would make sense if a client's been thinking about investing in business property schemes to bring that investment forward, provided they can get out of the scheme with no or little cost should the tax rules change. And lastly, with pensions, I suppose my hot tip there would be for higher rate taxpayers who've got a cash available, not earmarked for other purposes, to bring forward an investment into a registered pension scheme to make maximum use of their higher rate tax relief before the budget.